We'll kick off episode 5 with Final Fight. My first experience with this series was playing an emulated version of the Super Nintendo games back when we had SNES 9X installed on our original Xbox about 16 years back. Fun fact, remember last episode during the Shantae video I said I accidentally deleted a chunk of what I recorded for this episode? Final Fight was a casualty of that. All my footage got deleted, but thankfully it's not a long game, so it was redone in no time. The game takes place in Metro City, which has been ruled by gangs behind the scenes for years, the biggest being the Mad Gear Gang, which controls all major criminal activity. But when former wrestler Mike Hagar is elected mayor, he decides to put a stop to it. This rubs the Mad Gear the wrong way, so one day Hagar gets a phone call. They've kidnapped his daughter Jessica and are holding a ransom in exchange for Hagar's cooperation. They want him to just let them run loose and they'll return his daughter and give him regular bribes. Instead, Hagar joins up with Jessica's boyfriend Cody Travers and his friend Guy to cave all the Reds in. Having 3 characters means I'll be doing 3 playthroughs. I'll alternate footage between levels so I can talk about each character. First is my 2-player run where I play as Cody and bring along long-suffering player 2 as Hagar. First thing we see as we start is Jessica being carried off by Damned, the ugly looking guy in the opening. In response we kick the shit out of some barrels. There's only 2 buttons in this game, attack and jump. Combos run up close and can attack in the air, the usual stuff. You can also grab enemies by walking up close to them. Pressing both attack and jump at the same time has each character do their special move, which drains health. It attacks all surrounding enemies so should mainly be used the crowd control as a last resort. Although I'm playing this on Capcom Classics Collection Volume 1 and have unlimited lives, so it's not like I have to be too careful. You can also pick up weapons from fallen enemies like pipes and knives. Health can be restored by eating food off the ground. One more thing about Final Fight is that all the games are set in the Street Fighter universe. This game was originally going to be called Street Fighter 89 but was changed to be too different to the original. I mean, for one thing, this game was good. Characters from these games will eventually start showing up in later Street Fighter games. In fact, it's one of the things I look forward to when a new Street Fighter comes, hoping to see another Final Fight character crossover for the first time. So while we fight our way through the slums and this abandoned warehouse, let's talk about Cody. So just looking at this game, Cody is the least interesting of the 3. When you're sharing the screen with a ninja and a wrestler, the guy in a shirt and jeans is gonna stand out least. I think Capcom knew it too since he wasn't playable in either of the 2 main sequels. Despite this, Cody is my favourite character in the entire greater Street Fighter franchise. Of course you have to wait while later games for me to go into detail, but most of you will know why. His story. Like I said with Mortal Kombat, a fighting game series doesn't need a story, but it can add a lot. And Cody is a character that is made so much more special with his story. While that was going on, we saw a lot of enemies. They're separated into groups of 2 to 4. In these groups the sprites are mostly the same but with slight differences like colour of clothes or different hairstyles. First we run into the most generic type, consisting of Bread, Doug, Jake and Simons. There's nothing really special about them, they exist to fill out the crowds of enemies. There's Axel and Slash, the only enemies that can block. Elgato and Hollywood, the guys who can do a slide kick and pull out knives and try stabbing you. Hollywood can also try firebombing you. J and 2P, these rude arseholes who always keep their backs turned to you. They also like to wait until you have your back turned to them before attacking. There's Bill Bull, G-Orbiter and Wong Hu, the fat guys who can charge into your head first. At the end of this level we run into Damned. He can either do a gut punch or a jumping kick. He's pretty easy though, being the first boss. After a certain amount of damage is done, he'll sit on this wall and become invincible while he calls in reinforcements. A few seconds later he'll join in while we're surrounded. During this second set of reinforcements we get another new enemy type, Poison and Roxy. They are the acrobatic enemies who spend most of their time jumping around the stage. Poison shows up again in later games so I'll talk about her more in those. I would like to correct some misinformation on them. I think this story might be dying off a bit but I may as well talk about it. So there's this story of Capcom USA being worried about violence against women and the devs making them transgender in response, as if that makes it okay to batter them. But that's just a complete myth. They were always intended to be transgender as shown on their concept art. I think people mixed things up with when Nintendo didn't want players beating up women and had them be swapped out for 2 men, Billy and Sid, in the Super Nintendo port. Although all this certainly helped Poison out, without it I don't think she would have had the interest from fans to keep bringing her back today. I mean, you don't see much demand for the other generic enemies like Bread, do you? Just the Poison though, no one cares about Roxy it seems. So yeah, I beat Damned. He's one of the bosses that hasn't yet had a playable role in Street Fighter, and I get it, there's not much to work with, but hopefully he'll get his chance one day. Level 2 is a subway, and I'll be showing my Guy playthrough. I like Guy enough, but I just like the other 2 characters more. He's the weakest but fastest character. All we know about him in this game is that he's a ninja, but we'll learn more in later games. I give the infinite combo a try here, where I have to land the first 2 punches, turn away for the third, and turn back for another 2. Works well with just enemies on one side of you, but with another behind you, you just end up continuing the combo. Here I also run into the last enemy type, the Andores, consisting of Hugo Andore, Andore Jr., Father Andore, Uncle Andore, and Grandpa Andore. They're the only enemy type that can grab and throw you. Hugo and Poison are the only regular enemies in this game to make the crossover into Street Fighter. The rest of his family started to stop appearing and I'm not even sure if they still exist canonically. After beating everyone up here I enter the train and start beating everyone up there too, and the opposite happens to me too. I get to the end of the train and get a load of larger enemies ganging up on me. Elgato even stabs me in the arse, what a dick. That proves to be their downfall however, as it gives me the chance to pin them all in the corner and take them all out. Once I'd done, the train stops and I start walking along the tracks. Taking out a few more enemies, I walk through this tunnel ending up in a boxing ring, with the second boss, Sodom, waiting to crack me on the head with his sword handle. Sodom may be dressed as a samurai, but he's actually American. He's just obsessed with Japanese culture and speaks almost exclusively in broken Japanese. Gotta be careful when you knock him down because he likes to follow it up with a tackle. You can knock the katanas out of his hands, but he goes apeshit trying to get them back. I do manage to get a hold of one of them and get a couple good hits in though before I finish him off. After level 2 we get a bonus game, beat this car to death. Gotta get enough hits on both sides and the front. Don't worry about the vandalism, it was only Bread's car.
Oh my god!
Level 3 has us going along the west side and here's my Haga playthrough. So he's a wrestler turned mayor who trained by wrestling sharks. I like him. Haga could be called the overall main character of the series since he's the only one playable in every game. Strangers have been playable in Street Fighter though. I know him and Zangief share some moves but that hasn't stopped other characters. Obviously he fulfills the slowest but strongest role. The way he walks in this game has always bothered me though. Only his legs move. Everything from the hips up is completely rigid. Of course rather than just throwing enemies he can suplex them. He can also walk while carrying enemies. While doing this he can jump in the air and perform a pile driver. After a bit I walk into this bar where someone just left a katana, which I lose right away. No one in here is questioning the mayor being stabbed to death. A lot of the time when I get surrounded I end up defaulting to my strategy of jump kicking forever, until some kind person drops a pipe. Once this place is cleared out I try to leave but get dragged off by Andorra Jr. and put in this cage to fight father and grandfather Andorra. After they kill me I trap them at the edge of the screen with this pipe and take them out. I return to where I was dragged off from and punch through the door, only to get charged at by 2 fat guys at once. Everyone in Metro City owns the same make of car in the same colour it seems. Once I get past them I get my head smashed in by Eddie E, a corrupt police officer. He works with Mad Gear to get information on rival gangs and arrests them. This helps out Mad Gear by taking the competition, and the rest help Eddie further his own career. He also leaves a bit of chewing gum you can eat right off the floor. Eddie's another one who hasn't had a playable appearance in Street Fighter and he's currently the one on top of my wishlist. He was second for years but my most wanted characters crossover recently did, so let's get Eddie in there please Capcom. He doesn't have much of a moveset, just bashing me with his nightstick. Lower his health enough and he'll start shooting me. I don't even finish him off. Hollywood shows up and tries to set me alight but gets Eddie instead. We'll stick with Haga going for level 4, the industrial area. A good chunk of the floor here gets burst into flames but I just keep jumping over it. While I'm punching the life out of this off-screen Simons, the flames do a good job taking everyone else out for me. At least until a big fist comes in and ruins it for me. I managed to off-screen beat up that Andorra Jr. too though. After that it's into the barrel area where no barrels hit me. The combined bald heads of 2 fat men do though. Once I beat my way to the end I enter the lift section. Gotta have one of them. The entire time this is going on we have the level's boss, Rolento F. Shugerg, throwing grenades down at me. I assume he's also the one throwing weapons down for me to take his henchmen out with. Once we reach the top, Rolento joins the fight. Now Rolento wasn't in the Super Nintendo port, so my first exposure to him was in 2006 when I first got Capcom vs SNK 2 on the GameCube, where I found him very helpful in getting the points needed to unlock those secret characters. Thing is, since I got the game years later than it came out, I saw him on the back of the box with the beret and thought he was Jack Krauser from Resident Evil 4. You know, a character who didn't even exist when that game came out. Rolento likes to zip around the screen lobbing grenades everywhere. Definitely the hardest boss when you're Hagar, but I get lucky and drive his skull into the ground to finish him off. This is followed by the window smashing game. Just smash the glass, sometimes make them spin around and risk hitting yourself in the face and wasting time. Back to Guy for level 5, the Bay Area. If not the longest level, then the one that feels like the longest. Beat up some punks and get surrounded by 4 fat guys. I actually take this lot down quite easy. Well, until 2 more barge in and kill me. Once they're gone he's smashing a few barrels and picking up this pipe, but then Hugo and Junior show up on both sides so it's back to good old jump kick spam. Even trying to deviate from it gets me a smack. Then some arseholes keep sending barrels rolling towards me from off screen. Hugo takes forever with Guy's weaker attacks, doesn't help when Jake walks up and ruins my infinite. After him I'm surrounded by poisons and Roxys with a couple of Elgatos throwing knives at me. Past them the music changes as we get into the public toilets. Whoever does the graffiti in here has a bit of an obsession. Also, I wouldn't eat a full chicken off the floor in most cases, but especially not one right next to an open public toilet. Now I just start getting swarmed by groups of Hollywoods trying to incinerate me, but they just keep taking themselves out. I just have to keep moving forward and they do most of the work for me. Past them I just get the knife wielders. Something I didn't bring up before is that Guy and Haga can only throw picked up knives, while Cody can actually keep hold of them and stab with them. I don't know if that's just because Cody's more of an actual street fighter, or that Guy and Haga are sweatier hands and can't keep their grip. Fighting through punks after that, and why does Metro City Statue of Liberty equivalent look like he's taking a laser piss? It's at this point I'm getting tired of the level and just want to continue. Luckily I'm out the boss, Abigail. He's mostly a reskin of the Andorras, but he does have his own stuff. He likes to turn red and dash punch me. Abigail is the most forgettable of the bosses I'd say. Being a reskin of a regular enemy doesn't help, so it is surprising he managed to get into Street Fighter V before even Damned and Eddie E. Not that I'm complaining. I know a lot of people were mad at him getting in, but while I still haven't played the game, to me the more obscure characters getting second chances, the better. That's all I really have to say about Abigail here. I beat him and move on. Back to Cody and player 2 for the final level, Uptown. We're walking through streets again, taking out everyone in our way, failing to dodge barrels, accidentally punch player 2 in the face, trying the infinite combo, get a punch back and into this building. Dodge chandeliers dropping from the ceiling, clear out of enemies in front of a lift and get inside. Do you have to press up against me so closely, Hagar? It's clear everyone this building has put a lot of money and effort into this garden on the top, what with all the trees and the pool, so I wonder why they posted a load of Hollywoods here to torch the place. There's so many of them too, this place has no chance. Once we've had enough of catching fire, we re-enter the building. What happens next is a lot of dying, hitting each other and dodging charging Bilbos so I'm not the one that gets hit, then rushing in to claim credit for killing them, and then eating the food despite having more health and letting player 2 die. Wong-Hu makes me pay for my mistreatment though. Even more fighting and we get to this door, where I have to fend off even more enemies before we move on to the final section of the level. I waste time desperately trying to punch these barrels while player 2 is getting kicked in. Even more barrel dodging in Hollywoods, we get food from some chandeliers and reach the end of the room where the leader of Mad Gear, Belga, arrives. He fights from his wheelchair carrying Jessica and firing a crossbow. Right away I pull him out of it, destroying the chair and revealing that he isn't actually disabled. In fact he's jumping all over the place shooting that crossbow. I trap him in the corner a little bit and get quite a few hits in before he just kills me. Then I'm throwing poisons and rocks at him. He also has this attack where he fires arrows into the air but they never land on us. Once his health has run out he stands by the big window, ready for me to knock him through. The ending is the same regardless of who you play as. Guy and Cody leave as Hagar comforts Jessica. We then get the credits scrolling as Cody and Guy walk out of the building. Jessica catches up to Cody and Guy has to punch him a few times for him to notice. Cody wants to stay with her, but he starts to clean up the streets. I'm sure that's going to end happily for them both. And that was Final Fight. Still an enjoyable one to go back to. I mean, I only have had the one complaint through this entire video about level 5 being a bit too long. I haven't played the sequels since like 2004, so I'm interested to see how they hold up. Actually, I'm kind of surprised with all the retro revivals we haven't had a Final Fight 4 yet. Of all the ports, I only plan to do the Game Boy Advance one currently, but I'm saving it for when I've done more of the series. Oh well, closing thoughts? I had a lot of fun and they need to give Eddie his big revival.